Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is the video you have all been waiting for, or I hope you've been waiting for, or maybe you haven't been waiting, but today we're going to go in the entirety of world building. I hope you're as enthused as I am because I've got notes, I've got my journals. I am so excited to talk about world building. World building is one of my favorite parts of the writing process, and it is just so exhilarating and so time consuming. And if you're anything like me and you love making worlds in your head and you love escaping reality, this video is for you. So let's get into it. When I said I came prepared, I was not exaggerating, you guys. These are some of my world building books that I've used over the years to world build my novel. And you'll notice the pattern that follows along in all of these books is I always start off my world building notebooks with a map. With the Son of Chaosis, there are 4 kingdoms to represent the 4 gods. And that was really easy. That's a very original kind of section that you can go into. Obviously, I added more depth the more that I world builded it. Like, this map looks nothing like the original map when I first began writing this book 4 years ago. So you're going to do a lot of improvements, but what you want to start with is religion and figure out how prominently religion plays in your novel, because I think that religion is a very, very, very strong foundation for when you begin world building, because there are so many things that you can gain out of religion. If the gods strongly influence your world to a certain extent, or if religion is just something prominent in your world, that is going to influence what your characters and what your people do in the world. Let me grab my laptop because I have my entire world building list on my laptop, which I can get really into for this video. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to load it in. It's not freaking loading. Oh my god, it's saying my Wi-Fi is out again, bro. I'm literally gonna lose my marbles. My Wi-Fi is not out. You are lying. Connect, please. Just give it a second, guys. Sorry. So when you start with religion, you automatically get to delve into the history, because religion is created to silence our moral quandaries about the world and make sense of the things that we don't understand. So for example, how the world came to be, or what happens after death, or what morals we should have, like a moral code, all stem from religion. And so when you have this as a foundation, it's really easy to come up with everything else. So for example, starting with religion, I now know the history of how the world began. I did a yin and the yang theory where there's 2 gods of complete polar opposites, Chaosis and you got Seraphina, and they come together and they create the 4 elements in that sense, which was Lunaria, Cynthius, Uranus, and Tearia. Different stories and stuff are different in different kingdoms. So for example, in the original story, nobody actually knows who came first from Chaosis and Seraphina because every kingdom tells it different. Obviously, the kingdom that worships Cynthius is going to say Cynthius came first. What are you guys talking about? Whereas in Elderland, they're going to say, no, the moon goddess came first. I don't know what you're talking about. But nobody really knows the truth because these stories get passed down for so long and so many generations. Same thing with these stories right here. So one that is really prominent and everybody can pretty much agree on is the betrayal of Cynthius and Lunaria. Cynthius is fire and he is light, and Lunaria is the sea. And so I needed a sun and a moon. And I was like, okay, I need a sun and a moon. How am I going to get a sun and the moon? Easy. We're going to have something happen. There's this huge war that breaks out. You have to have a war between the gods. And there's different stories that come from this war, and I go into it. And I go into how dragons are made, because dragons are really, really prominent in the novel. So I went into how dragons are made, and they came out of this war. The gods had made them for destruction and also not destruction, depending on which dragons you're talking about. Usually their children will rebel against the gods, just in different myths that I've read and stuff, and especially in Roman mythology, Greek mythology. So I pretty much took on inspiration from that. Deities, gods, primordials. The primordials rebelled against the gods, and that's why the gods are not as prominent as they once were before humans. But when they lost the war, because the primordial, well, it wasn't really, different people lost different things. Like, it was more of like a tie, but the primordials ended up getting their immortality stripped away because of them starting a war against, you know, the gods. And so that's where I have humans come in. Now you know that there are people, and these people have people, and people have people, and people have people, and people have people, and eventually you have civilization. What? So then I go into, like I said, the four kingdoms. So with Elderlin, they worship Lunaria, and Lunaria is the moon, and she is passion, and she is femininity, and she is romance, and she is the sea. So their kingdom has laws that follow the same morals that you would get from a goddess like this. Celibacy law: you are not allowed to have sex before marriage. It is illegal. You are not allowed to have an affair. It is illegal. Even if your partner dies, you are not allowed to remarry. It is illegal. So just off the bat there, illegal. Another law in Lunaria is that you're not allowed to be violent. But you try to do your best to stay out of wars, and when you do enter wars, you aren't very violent. Like, that is one of the problems that they have when they go into this war. Underground fighting is illegal. Let me highlight this real quick. Underground fighting is illegal. Underground fighting is illegal. Any brawls whatsoever are illegal. Okay? And here you have the heir. Well, he's not the heir until later, but you have the prince of Full Moon getting into these underground brawls, stumbling into the kitchen with cuts on his face after yelling at Clarice for trying to use dragon warfare while he's over here fighting people underground. Oh, they typically will bust these underground fights, but I mean, people are gonna obviously go against the law, you know, so I obviously have some underground fighting rinks that the prince just happens to find and stumble into, and nobody bats an eye because they're like, you're keeping it a secret, we're keeping it a secret, great. There's no death penalty in Elderlin. This was really hard to do because they also have no cruel or unusual punishments. Hadrian gets taken to jail, and he like has to sit there for a week. Like, it's kind of just like they put him in timeout, or they banish them. Like, so then with the physical features of Elderlin, I took inspiration from the moon phases. Like, all of their islands are named after the moon phases. Then I go into the magic system. There are magic systems there's like the plain flat out magic system, which is herbology, which is terraria based, which is the most prominent and the most that everybody uses all around. But there's also other different types of magic that you can do to dictate different things. Then there's the economy, and so this is generals, agriculture, fishing, mining, forestry, exports, imports, currency, and the trade systems. You want to fill out all these things to the rim. I can give you a couple on Elderlin. Fishing is really prominent in their thing, so I went into like all of the like how the fish are ranked and like how they price them and stuff like that. I went super in depth with the fishing market. Every single kingdom has a different currency. What are their coins named? How are they based? So I have moon marks as their currency, and it's silver coins engraved with different moon phases, and the moon phase determines the value. So whereas like a full moon is like a lot of money, and then, you know, just a waning crescent is like, man, waning crescent, get this trash out of here. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, then you want to go into the culture. So entertainment, agriculture, daily life, diet, customs, education, ethnics, values, medicine. Because like religion is so prominent, their homes face the sea. So the cottages have rounded doorways, and they'll have the crescent moon carvings over lentils for protection. So then I have their daily life. And then their diet, I said, is ocean-based. Customs, guests are offered a bowl of salt water to cleanse their hands before eating. Education, children learn moon lore, tidal cycles, and lunar navigation from a young age. So this is very much commoner stuff. There's different education when it comes to like Clarice and stuff. She has like tutors. I did want to talk about the people because she learns a lot from Hadrian and how the people work. So it was really, really essential for me to go into depth about what the commoners do. And so I have it here where there's really no schools or anything for them. It's mostly just motherly knowledge, and so Hadrian doesn't grow up with a mother, so he gets his knowledge from Clarice. Then you have religion and rituals, so I go into all of these taboos and festivals and how courtship and marriage works and charms and so on and so forth. So they have moon bonding, which is weddings beneath a full moon, led by moon binders who are Elderlin priestesses. The proposals are customary at night. Proposals, again, are only at night. Young women give seashells to suitors, and the man carries it in his pocket until the wedding. Just like little customary things that they have. You have sailor challenges like boat races, swimming races. When it's a boy's coming of age thing. They'll like all get together and like swim and see who can swim to the next island over the fastest. I don't know, guy stuff. Taboos, these are really cool. They do not cut their hair on a waning moon. They do not start sail at dawn. They avoid whistling indoors. Children collect smooth round pebbles and they believe are like moon kissed, and they keep them for luck. You know how we collect like 4-leaf clovers being like lucky? They have their like round moon kissed pebbles that they can carry around. I just thought it was cute. I had so much fun building like how the children think and stuff. Major historical conflicts. So I have the 8 Divide War, which happened 600 years ago. This couple had been residing over Elderland at the time, all of Elderland, and they had 8 sons. And in their passing, each son believed that they were rightfully the heir, obviously. There was this war that happened between the sons, pretty much on like who's gonna end up being the king of all of Elderland. And that's why they ended up splitting the 8 islands to the 8 sons, because it happened to fit so well. These kings, their names are like Ivor, Mivar. I made these the last names and then the family names that come with the islands. And then you want to go into social class, so kind of make like a pyramid of like who's at the top, who's at the bottom. I made a language for Lunaria. So they have Old Lunarian, and it has lots of L's and I sounds. They have basic words that they call just based off of this Old Lunarian vibe. You don't call the king king, you call him Arna. You don't call the queen queen, you call her Solaria. And Sara is princess in Old Elderland, and Hadrian calls Clarice this all the time. It's good. Common sayings. So like this one's really fun. This one's fun. So like the sea has long ears is kind of like be careful what you say. Gossip travels fast. Where the moon smiles, love lingers. Romance blooms under moonlight. So I just have like these little phrases because Miss Culpepper and Clarice in part 2 are like not friends, but like she's kind of like a grandmother figure for Clarice, and so Miss Culpepper will like sneak these into their conversations, and you're kind of like, what is she talking about? But if you're Elderland, you know what she means. Female names, male names, because like I said, their names all have the same vocabulary, and so the same kind of like SC vibe, because that's how they speak in Elderland. And then I have each island in depth. Ivor, the Ivorian island, their full moon, their symbol and shield, they're a war kingdom, and they reside at the southern estate. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 generations of history. So then I do this for all of the kingdoms. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope this video helped you out a bunch.